All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 598 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football, and good way to start off the Monday. Good way to start off the week. It is some pretty big news that just came across the wire if you're a Georgia Southern fan. It is going to be an uphill battle to get over this hump in a couple of years. But I love the fact that we're taking on this task going up against USC. Georgia Southern's coach Clay Helton goes back to the scene of the crime, goes back to his old stomping grounds to face his former team, going up against Lincoln Riley, and that team is a world beater, and it's going to be a tough battle for us to go up against them. A lot of people are already writing us off saying we're going to get blown out, and rightfully so. I mean, USC is one of those big teams, but we got 2 years to prepare, so we're going to talk about that, and let me give my thoughts and opinions on that as well. But before I get there, I'm going to talk about a couple of recent commits to Georgia Southern. And like I said, once again, this is a great day to be an Eagle. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And I hope you guys have been having a great time. You know, this past weekend just passed. Went out and saw some family, got to see my mom, my grandmother, and some other family members. So it was a great weekend. You know, spent some time with the wife, spent some time with my son. We all went out and had a really good weekend. So hopefully you guys have done the same. If not, just make it make up some arrangements upon yourself to get out and do something. It's always healthy to do those things. So that will be awesome. Also, for me, I could be found on Twitter at VFBaller, and the website is firstandframerates.com. We're just going to jump right into this. Two recent commits, 2024 commits. First one I want to talk about is C.J. Allen, linebacker from Sandoval High School, Jacksonville, Florida. Standing at 5'11", 205. It looks like this defense is going to be a little bit faster and a little bit sleeker. I mean, at 205 at linebacker, outside and middle linebacker, look like we're going to have some speed out there. So that's a pretty cool to see. Don't know much about C.J. Allen. Like I say, he's a 2024 commit, so he's going to be playing high school pretty much for the rest of the year. But I've been looking at a couple of his highlights. He looks pretty solid. And looking at how the defense was playing in the spring game, we kind of got an idea of what we're going to get with this team. And bringing C.J. Allen in is definitely like that makeup. We already got two defensive backs that transferred from the Big Ten and came in, and now we getting two linebackers. So the defensive coordinator is starting to mold this team the way he wants to, and it looks like a lot different than last year. I mean, one thing about last year, we weren't as physical, we weren't able to tackle as much, and it was, even though the offense kept us in games, the defense could have shut a lot of things down if we were able to tackle at certain times. But bringing guys like a C.J. Allen in, and we're going to talk about Latory Williams Jr. as well, bringing those two guys in as well as everybody else that we have around. It looks like we're going to be in the running for having a pretty solid defense. And these two guys aren't going to be here right away, but like I said, you're starting to see the makeup of what we're doing. And the other linebacker that we're bringing in is Latory Williams, 6'2", 195. Like I said, once again, another tall, sleek, slender linebacker from Phoenix City, Alabama. I've been to Phoenix City, a few times. I haven't been there in a while. Might need to make that trip one day. Going back to what I was saying, you got two guys once again, one at 5'11", 205, another one 6'2", 195. Don't get it twisted. The strength and conditioning coach is going to get some meat on these guys' bone. Not saying that they're small or anything, but I expect both of these guys to get up to around the 220, maybe 225 mark by the time they get ready to wear the blue and white in 2024. And I mean, that's just going to be ideal. I mean, at those sizes at 220 to 225, those guys are going to be really, really physical and athletic to do a lot of things, not just to be pure tacklers. These guys are going to cover some guys. And if you look at the Sun Belt, they do have their guys that can run the ball. Don't get me wrong, but you have a Latrell Bullard. You have the recent commit that we had from Georgia that came out that was an offensive lineman that moved over. You still, you got those guys that's going to be up front at 290, 330. That's going to be up there. The couple of defensive linemen that's going to stop the run. These guys are going to be primarily the ones that's going to be, being all over the place, sideline to sideline type players. And with the size of these guys, I'm really curious to see what their speed look like. Looking at the highlights, look like they can move a little bit. So that's going to be really cool to see. So at the end of the day, we got a couple of more solid guys that are going to be here in 2024. Coach Clay Helton is he's continuing to build Georgia Southern football, remake it into a different style, more of a modern style. People are still thinking we're running the triple option. Talk to an App State guy on Twitter, and yeah, you know how that goes. But we're changing the complexion of this team. And from what we saw last year, it is something, that was very exciting. We were in a lot of games. It was the first year of Coach Clay Helton, so you saw where the defense were lacking, but the offense was ready to go. Brian Ellis and Coach Clay Helton had that offense going. Unfortunately, our defensive coordinator just could not get it where he wanted it to be. He's going back to the West Coast now, which, I wish him the best. But our new defensive coordinator, and looking at that spring game, looks like we're going to be a much more physical defense because we were able to stop a lot in the spring game. I wonder how much that's going to transfer over to the regular season when we start playing football. So, jumping to the next topic. So, no need to really, get into this too much, but I can't help it because even though it's 2 years away, I'm ready to talk about this. Georgia Southern is going to the LA Coliseum, man. And they're going down to the LA Coliseum to play the Trojans of the University of Southern California. This is going to be a very, very tough matchup. A lot of people already know that a lot of people are already thinking that we're going to get blown out. I mean, I can't even blame them. But I will say this is going to be a much tougher battle than people would think. I mean, you look at the Arkansas game when we played against Arkansas. And I will honestly say that Coach Chad Lunsford did not have this team really prepared. It looked pretty bad. Justin Tomlin did have the big run. So, but it just wasn't. It was ugly. Went up to Nebraska. We played those guys, and with the style of offense we had, it gave Nebraska fits. Now, does that mean that Nebraska's USC? Absolutely not. But when you spread a defense out, you're going to have opportunities. The problem with us playing against the problem was we're playing with any Power 5 team for the past few years outside of like 2014. We were basically we're kind of predictable. Everybody knew was going to run the ball. LSU saw what we were doing. You saw some other teams. They saw what we were doing. We played Power 5 teams. But when Coach Clay Helton came in, we spread out the Nebraska defense and we made them pay. And we played fairly good against them considering the circumstances. We're going up against Wisconsin in 2020. Well, this year, we're going up against Wisconsin, and we're going to have that same type of game plan. We're going to spread this team out, and we're going to try to distribute the ball amongst all of our receivers. And once we spread them out, we're going to be able to run the ball because we're going to have space. Now, looking at 2024, I can't remember who's on the docket for 2024, which we'll talk about that sometime down the road. But the reason why I want to talk about this game here, because we do have, I'm telling you right now, between now and the next couple of years, we're going to have an opportunity to compete with this team. I firmly believe that after Coach Clay Helton being here for it'll be 4 years in 2022, 23, being in his fourth year with Georgia Southern, I think he's going to have enough talent to actually, give this team somewhat of a competitive match. And a lot of people say, oh, that's not going to happen. Look, this, that, and the third. No, Lincoln Riley does get talent. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and they do play excellent football. They've been playing excellent football for a while. They've been playing excellent football when Coach Clay Helton was their coach. But that doesn't mean that Georgia Southern just going to lay down and just get blown out. I don't believe that. I believe it's going to be a much closer game, especially if we can get the defense together and tackle. I think that was one of the biggest problems, even in the Nebraska game. If we were able to tackle a lot better, Nebraska would have had a lot of problems with us. A lot of problems. That game would not have been a 45-42 game. The problem with Nebraska's defense, they could not stop us. They could not stop us. And we couldn't stop them. The problem was the fact that we couldn't stop them because we couldn't tackle. Nebraska couldn't stop us because they were just literally out of position all the time. They could not do nothing with the way we were distributing the ball, and we're going to cause problems for a lot of people. Does that matter? Is that going to be the case for USC? I'm not really sure. I mean, we're 2 years away. We don't have much to talk about when it comes to what the matchup's going to be like. But if everything continues to go the way it's going when it comes to the uptick of talent coming to Georgia Southern, we're going to be able to give this team a competitive challenge. And as of right now, that's all I can say what it's going to be at this moment. I want us to go in there and shock the world. I really do. Are we going to be capable of doing it? Yeah, I think we are. Coach Clay Helton is going to have some type of desire, some type of motivation to stick it to this team. Don't get it twisted. Coach Clay Helton is he's a happy-go-lucky type of coach, but he means business. And he's going up against his former team, and when he goes up against his former team, it's going to be personal for him. So I think he's going to have this team ready. I think he's going to have the recruits ready. And if everything goes well, I'm not going to say we're going to win the game. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. A lot of people think we're going to lose by 40. I think a lot of people are going to think we're going to lose by 35. And I get it. I'm not sitting here and saying that they're wrong or right, because look, USC is a top 10 team. You know what I'm saying? They're a top 10 team. But once again, top 10 teams could fall. Just ask Texas A&M. Ask Notre Dame. See what happened to them last year when they went up against Marshall and Appalachian State. And, that same week, that's when we beat Nebraska. So it gives us a 2-year cushion to get prepared. I don't think this is going to be necessarily the bulletin board game throughout the next couple of years. But I will say this, Coach Clay Helton got this game circled. He has it circled. They wouldn't have been able to put this together if it wasn't circled. And USC knew that how big this could have been if they bring their former coach back to LA to play against the coach that, succeeded him. It's going to be a really big deal. And also, before I'm going to get out of here after this, that I think that Coach Clay Helton is going to be here for the long run. I think this is more confirmation that Coach Clay Helton is really trying to stick around and build what's going on here at Georgia Southern. Coach Jared Benko basically picked this coach, and knowing the circumstances, we doubled our win total in 1 year. I don't see how we won't be able to do it again, next year, or at least get 8 to 9 wins. I mean, this team is on the rise. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things going to be in 2025. So this particular matchup says a lot about what's going on in the future of Georgia Southern. I don't know where this particular game is going to end up, how it's going to fall, but it just shows you that we are trying to make moves to be relevant in all cases of college football. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think about the matchup. I mean, USC going up against Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's going to LA. I think that's going to be really awesome. September 6, 2025. I mean, we still got other games that we're going to play. I know another game that I marked was the K-State game. We're going to Kansas State sometime in, I think it's 2026 or 2027. But I really want to go to that game, go back to my old stomping grounds when I used to be in Kansas. Shout out to Mike Stanley. If you don't know him on Twitter, big K-State fan. He's a friend of mine. Would love to go to that game and tailgate or hang out with him watching our two favorite teams play. But it just shows you, man, Georgia Southern is making moves and is pretty awesome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Also, let me know about what you think about the two recruits, CJ. Oh goodness, I'm looking at his name and it went away from me that quick. CJ Allen and Latory Williams. Let me know what you guys think about those two guys as well. Coming into 2024, they could be prominent players up against USC. You just never know. All right, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. I said enough. It's pretty long, much longer than I thought it to be, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Well, like I said, subscribe to the channel, man. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.